The number one cause for an Achilles rupture is the amount of exposure you have to a mechanism of injury. So the question you should be asking yourself if you're trying to better increase the likelihood that you would avoid an Achilles rupture in the first place is to decrease the amount of exposure you have to the mechanism of injury. And there is a very clear mechanism of injury that most rehab clinicians, most strength coaches do not understand, but yet it's straight plain as day on the film if you just watch the injury over and over again. I have multiple other examples on this channel here. I'll link one of them down below in the description that also goes over this concept, but I'm going to go over it in a different way today because we have two more examples. One is with Deshaun Watson tearing his Achilles, and another is James Wiseman tearing his Achilles. In both circumstances, neither athlete applied a significant amount of force, but yet ended up with an Achilles rupture. So, in fact, one of them is just simply backpedaling. And so people will chalk this injury up to being just a fluke accident, but again, they don't actually look at the mechanics behind it. They don't look at the injury itself in the mechanism and understand how it relates to what the athlete is trying to accomplish in their task. And as a result, you see these injuries still running rampant because strength coaches and rehab professionals really just don't understand it. So if we look at the Deshaun Watson injury, what we'll notice is that as he takes a step backwards to try to move forward, his heel drops down towards the floor or towards the ground, grass, and then his knee straightens. This is the mechanism of injury. If you are trying to move forward, your heel should be lifting up and your knee should be moving forward. The heel should not be moving down, and the knee should not be moving backwards. That is what happens when you go backwards. Now, the James Wiseman injury is actually happening while the athlete is backpedaling, and so we'll go over that differently as well too, because the concept is a little bit different of what should occur here. But if you were trying to move forward, you were trying to get yourself in acceleration posture. If you're trying to move forward, that is the gait cycle. What happens during the gait cycle is the heel lifts up as the tibia and the shin and the knee travel forward. And so here's another higher level example of a sprinter who is starting in a close-up of the knee and the Achilles action. And what you'll notice is that one has a lot of slack in it, meaning that the heel drops more than another. But in both instances, you actually see that the knee moves forward. But in one circumstance, the top video, the heel moves up and the knee moves forward. And what happens is that does not create a dynamic ballistic stretch into the Achilles. And if the heel were to move backwards and the knee was to straighten, now you're going to create a quick dynamic ballistic stretch through the Achilles, and that is Deshaun Watson's injury here. So sure, athletes do this all the time. I wouldn't necessarily teach an athlete to do that, and that's something that you should do as a sports coach or a rehab clinician. Is all the agility drills that you do, all the acceleration drills that you do, you should be teaching the athlete how to avoid this mechanism of injury so they're less likely to do that when they get out on the field of play, when things are going to happen on a subconscious manner because you're not thinking, you're just moving. So you have to have this drilled into your body. And that also comes back to our training. Most of the training that strength coaches, rehab clinicians do is heels down. They'll do squats, they'll do deadlifts, they'll do rear foot elevated split squats. All that is putting force through the heel. Now, I don't think those things are bad. Just because I'm mentioning those things doesn't mean I'm saying that they're bad, but the amount of programming that you do for those tasks versus something like jump rope, or something such as calf raise, or something such as a ball of foot plyometric. See it all the time, people doing trap bar jumps or weighted jumps, just single vertical jumps where they're flat-footed when they jumped up and they jump and they land. How about something such as a forward moving jump where you have to keep your heel up off the ground the entire time? That would serve its purpose a lot more for this mechanism of injury and avoiding this position so that you don't go to the well one too many times and the injury eventually occurs. Because again, it doesn't actually take that much force for it to occur. As you see here with Deshaun Watson, there's much more aggressive acceleration starts that people perform and they don't get hurt. As you see with James Wiseman, who was backpedaling here, that is very minimal force being placed into the ground. Now he is backpedaling, so that motion is slightly different than accelerating, obviously, because you are moving backwards. But again, the mechanism is still the same. It's the heel dropping down and the knee straightening. He would be better served to be more ball of foot, keeping that heel hovering up off the ground as he's backpedaling in this circumstance. And that way he avoids, again, that mechanism of injury from occurring. The quicker you are to drop that heel, the more your knee extends, the more ballistic stretch goes through Achilles, and again, the more a potential injury is going to come up from that. Now, I don't know what these athletes' training look like, but again, I would gather to assume that they're not doing a ton of jump rope. They're not doing a ton of calf raises. They're not doing a lot of ball of foot based exercises or plyometrics that would help aid in the decreasing the likelihood of this injury to occur in the first place. So hope that video provides some help into why Achilles ruptures occur, and my thought process on why they're occurring more and more frequently is because athletes are doing more quad-based, glute-based exercises, glute bridge, heel down-based movements, and they go out and they put that behavior, that subconscious behavior, into play in a more dynamic movement environment where they should be more ball of foot. And so just my 2 cents on the whole subject, on the whole topic. See if it makes sense to you. If you got questions, drop them down in the comments below. Again, we'll link other videos that we've put up as it relates to this. I think this topic needs to be brought to more awareness of strength coaches and rehab clinicians. We do that through our sports rehab expert certification process through our online courses. We talk about the Achilles in depth, as well as exercise programming and other injuries as well too, all the way from head to toe. So if that interests you, head to sportsrehabexpert.com and check out those courses.